So if someone, let's say, doesn't have teens, but they want to be a YA author, and they're intrigued by their own stories from when they were younger, how do they sort of tap into what's going on today with that sort of demographic?
That's an interesting question. We were talking about this in my writing class, and I think all of us can tap into what it was like to be in high school. And I think that while the experience has changed somewhat, it hasn't changed so much that it's unrelatable. I think a lot of the same things that we experienced are still going on. Social hierarchy, the different kind of stereotypes of what kinds of people you're in school with. There is a whole thing about technology, and this is more applying to contemporary young adult fiction. It doesn't apply so much to what I'm writing, but what is the new technology? Are you going to date yourself if you have that in your book? Like if you're writing about Facebook now, is Facebook going to be a thing that only the parents are doing in 5 years? Will your book feel dated? My advice is always to try not to put too much identifying technology into a book unless that is core to what the story is. To kind of try to think about or invent a platform that maybe doesn't exist. So go a little bit inventing on that because it won't date your book in the same way. Another thing I see a lot of YA authors doing is doing period 80s, right? Because it's a time before cell phones. Having cell phones changes everything, right? You can find people, it's very hard to get lost if everyone has cell phones. So if you set it in the 80s, and I see a lot of this now, you kind of eliminate all of that technology. Another thing I also really highly advise is not to have too much of your book structured around texting or social media or cell phones. Try to keep it more of a storytelling about characters, and those things are more ancillary because what's at the core of a story isn't really going to change a lot and will still have an impact even 20, 30, 40 years from now. Whereas if your book is all about Facebook, then that might not be relevant 40 years from now.